Hello everyone. It is Kenyon here, Basketball Rewind. I'm here to just go through a couple quick thoughts and really address a couple things that I don't think that I addressed before. So the first things first, some Boucher news. According to Jake Fisher, we are hearing that Boucher is waiting for essentially Al Horford and his situation to kind of sort itself out while basically to sort itself out more or less. I think that that's really, really important. I hope it works out for him, and I hope he ends up on Golden State. I think far too often NBA players in his situation are not prioritizing themselves, and I want him to play for a place that he feels like he can actually get the minutes that he deserves or be fighting for a championship. So obviously, I know some people are hoping that he returns here. I just want the best situation for him, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay, moving forward. A few things. I wrote some notes down. I want to talk about some Ingram thoughts, some Ingram news, and then kind of move that into pathways for the Raptors to be good, because a lot of it is going to be riding on Ingram. I have said that the Raptors can be a 43-win team. I've also said that they are potentially a 38-win team. For whatever reason, that has drawn ire from some people who think that that is crazy to say that they will improve their win total between 8 to 12 wins. Don't know why, because when you're a 30-win team and then you're a 38-win team, it means that you got better. So I think that the Raptors will be better. So in terms of Ingram, one of the things that is interesting is he recently came out and he gave an interview, and his interview was focused on, hey, I'm now healthy. I just got cleared for contact. It's a little bit concerning. I think we always have to address both, not just be all positive and happy-go-lucky, but address the concerns. And then kind of, usually I dabble in the nuance. Welcome to Basketball Rewind. So, he had an ankle sprain. High ankle sprains where you're not able to do on-court 5-on-5 drills since, I think for him, like, what was it? November, December he was out until now. Like, we're now pushing 6-7 months kind of a thing. And then he's taking shots at the end of the season to keep the swelling down. I think it was PRP shots. Listen, I'm not here. This episode is not about diving into his medical details. I don't have his medical details, but it's concerning. He even said it's this is not normal. And, I know that he works hard. I do get concerned when I see, I'm not saying that players shouldn't be able to have fun and enjoy their off season. But someone with a high ankle sprain that is that serious, maybe don't go to the trampoline park. That's a little bit concerning. So that's the only thing. I think really quickly as an aside, I will later on talk about the money aspects when it comes involved with this. But right now, I think, for Ingram, I just want him to get healthy. I want him to be healthy for next year because, again, at the end of the day, there's a lot riding on him. I think what some people may miss some of the analysis or stuff that I try to provide. I'm not saying I'm any sort of expert or whatever. I'm just someone who really likes basketball, really enjoys it, and is trying to learn about the game and always keep growing. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay. So I made a thread about Ingram and him being pushed, basically being put on the Raptors. Some of this came in February, so some of my analysis has changed, but I'm going to look at the bigger picture right now, and then we're going to just dive into some other stuff after. The big picture is, again, let's start off with the good. Now I will get to the concerns really quickly, and then I'll return to the good. The good. Since his most improved, averaged 23 points. These are the percentages. 47% from the field, 37% from deep. These are solid numbers. They're not 50, 40, 90, but they're not bad. They're not bad at all. And especially when he's doing that at high volume while being treated like the number one option, it's really good. Funny enough, again, like there's no other Raptor player that would shoot as good as he does right now. Gone are the days of Jose Calderon. We have a lot of people, Barnes, RJ, Pirtle, etc., that really, outside of Grady, really, that need to improve on their free throw shooting. Yeah, it needs to improve. He did fluctuate, so he's played different usages, and his role has been inconsistent for that. But like overall, he's had high usage and he's had lower usage roles, not low, but lower usage roles, because he has attempted to carry an offense for a guy in a co-star in Zion Williamson who was routinely hurt. And to me, that makes it tough because it puts a lot more pressure on your body, which is why I have injury concerns, but I digress. This was from before, so I wasn't sure, whether or not he was going to take a discount. I think he did take, not like a team-friendly discount, but I think it was a very fair contract. I have no issues with the contract overall. I said he's a lanky isolation scorer who can best be described as really a professional bucket getter. Fans will enjoy his play, in my opinion. This is from Basketball Index. They really good stats. I don't dive into their stats on screen very often, but I do have a subscription and they do great stuff. So shout out to them. Anyways, they right here talked about his offensive prowess as an individual shot maker, a bucket getter, as I said before, a professional shooter, a professional scorer. And you see it in terms of him thriving in the mid-range. He has good floater talent. Like a lot of these things, ignore the frequency of it, but like how good he is, a lot of these numbers put him in the 90th and above percentile. And that is really, really good. You want this, you need this on your roster if you don't have it. And if you don't have it, you have to get it or develop it. And it's really hard to develop some of this skill set. Some of it's possible, but it takes a lot of time. And the problem is, this is what gets to the heart of the issue, is sometimes you don't have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to wait while the NBA moves so quickly, especially with the changing cap environment. You don't have 8 years always to wait and see if a guy can develop all these things. So getting a guy who can develop these things is a good thing. I actually do like it. I did have concerns just because they were supposed to be tanking. So it was like, is this a move that could have been done in the offseason? I don't know. But I guess for him and his agency, obviously, if you're injured and you're injured to the degree that he was, you won't want to wait. So fair enough. Okay, continuing on. He's an I do think that there are roster balancing moves to make it work. I will get into that and a solid draft pick. I think that this is in February, folks. We'll see how CMB works with him, but overall, there is something here, but the roster needs balance. It needs balance from someone asked about schemes. From a schematic standpoint, it needs shifting away from the aimless 0.5 offense. It needs to be a little bit, you could have ball movement, but it needs to be a bit more structured. I also looked at the concerning. We're going to skip over that just for now. My main thing is that like this is the right move if you were going to, again, it could be seen as a buy low candidate acquisition for the team. But again, this is not going to be team friendly. And I was right. It's like he's not coming here to take money out of his own pockets, but that's okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm not expecting him to do anything but what's right for him and his family. At the same time, I think some people were on the side of the fence where they're like, oh, they're going to be able to negotiate like him getting like $30 million a year. And others were like, oh, he's going to get the super max, or he's going to get the max, which he's not eligible for it, but oh, he's going to get the max. And it's like, no, I didn't think that either. I said like right around 40 is his mark, and his average annual average, whatever, is going to be 40. So yeah. All right, so let's start off with the good. We already talked about his shooting prowess just, on its own. I'm going to talk about a few other aspects of his game, and then I'm also going to talk about how to utilize him. And then outside of that, I'm going to get to some other points that I want to address in terms of the Raptors overall. Okay, so let's get into it. Number one. Simply put, he's a weapon, right? Talent-wise, many will skip over this, but first and foremost, as an offensive player, he is one of the better offensive players in the league. I'm not doing the whole, like, I'm going to compare him to this guy or this former Raptor or whatever. Like, he is a really, really solid offensive weapon. I don't think he's a first option. I don't think it matters on this squad because, like, right now we need to try to make the playoffs. But I think he can do a lot of damage. And I think overall he's a solid, like, I think he can punch up to all-star on a good year. In terms of all NBA, that's going to be tougher. It is possible, but it's going to be tougher for him to do that. But I think he does a lot. And he's a really, really, really good isolation player and good at getting his shot off at the mid-range, although he's better in catch-and-shoot situations. So if Darko, that last chart that we saw where the shot quality on that chart was really, really bad for a lot of his shots, and yet he's really good in a 90th percentile. If Darko can get better shots and better looks for Brandon Ingram in this offense, then yes, you will see an improvement and you will see some efficiency. But it's not all that is needed. There are some shifts in roles that need to happen. So Barnes hasn't always been the best screen setter, but he has the talent. So again, people would say that's me being down. Me saying that you have the talent is me boosting him up. I'm actually saying he has the ability to do this and be a really good screen setter and a really good roller on this Raptor squad. And this is the type of things where if Brandon Ingram, as Bobby Webster would say, Brandon likes to shoot, Scotty likes to pass. Well, this is a way to make sure that Scotty's passing can be just as effective when he's letting Brandon Ingram do the shooting. Okay, so imagine these are Raptors play types. Okay, so and we're gonna kind of go through it like that. Okay, so first of all, the Raptors do similar types of stuff in some ways. I mean, a lot of NBA teams take from one another. The Raptors do a lot of DHO actions. Now, the thing that I like about this is that we could definitely incorporate this into the offense. So, if you had Barnes being the screener, and you had Ingram being the ball handler, and you ran a DHO here, if Barnes can make better contact with the screens and readjust himself quickly so that Ingram can kind of walk his man into Barnes' big body, the guy, he basically catches, in this case it was Jeremy Grant, like right into him. I've seen some crushing screens here and there. I'm not saying that he has to set screens like damn near Steven Adams, but yeah. Then what you're going to see is Ingram's going to be able to go downhill more easily, slither down low, and also you're going to cause a mismatch. Two evenly matched guys, but who can play out at times on the perimeter here and there. I think that it's going to cause some mismatch problems. It's going to open up one or the two of them. Barnes for a fadeaway, or Ingram just doing his thing into the mid-range and then potentially going deeper or having cutting players around there. Okay, so again, notice how he catches, and crosses, he catches out very far. He doesn't dribble into dead man's corner, as they say, but instead he goes right downhill and he re-angles the screen to allow for an open look. Late game execution is something that he does, and it's going to help us to improve. So this is an example of what it would look like late game. We've seen these type of isolating situations with RJ Barrett or Scotty Barnes or, funny enough, Siakam Poeltl. I think that I would much rather have Brandon Ingram doing these things. There's a little bit of a pull by the other guy there. But I think the key thing is, obviously, you see Zion there spacing out to the floor, helping to space the floor just in case, and basically allowing Ingram to kind of cook and do his thing. This is a good example of an isolation possession that, allows some of your other offensive players to rest, but also it's something that Ingram can do. He had multiple guys on him. I do think that in this case, there could have been more ball movement than the initial action. Okay, the initial action got stymied, like kind of reset things, guys, but I'm not here to look at the New Orleans Pelicans entire offensive execution here. The point is that this is something that Ingram can do, and he can do pretty well and consistently, and his length allows him to be a finisher. I think he's actually at times finished, if you look on the whole, better than I believe Zion overall over the past few years at the rim. So when he gets to the rim, he doesn't always get to the rim, and his rim frequency could be a lot better, but when he does get to the rim, I think that he's one of the better rim finishers in today's game, honestly. Okay, so let's continue on. This may sound silly. This game is aesthetically pleasing. I know that everyone's trying to get into these threes and layups and kickouts and stuff like that, and that's the only thing that people want. But everyone loves Michael Jordan. Everyone misses Kobe Bryant. Everyone, practices those type of rules, those type of games. Shooting into the trash can, yelling Kobe. A lot of people do that. I never did the Kobe thing. I just shot it though. But the point is that that's what people like, and he has that. He has a very aesthetically pleasing aspect to his game, and I think in a weird way, I said in a good way, it's like watching a guy from a different era, right? Like, this is not like new age basketball where a guy's just kind of like breaking his man down and like just kind of like doing his thing. This is kind of old school that way. Again, putting Barnes in the post, having Grady or Jacoby up top, would allow the Raptors to be able to do a 3-man game where Ingram is involved as a playmaker, and then you have the outlet playmaker, the secondary playmaker is Barnes, who's also drawing gravity on the inside. Of course, you have Grady spacing out, or whoever, it could be Mamu, whoever is spacing out. And you could even add in another individual. You could have both Grady and Jacoby, one being a spacer, one being more of a cutting decoy, to allow this to really work for those other two guys to really get open and have some real offensive advantage making. So again, if you think that I'm down on the Raptors, I'm not. I'm just saying that there's a lot that needs to happen from different guys. And while Darko improved, and I think that listening to him, and this is interesting, is that I was worried that he would change his game, and listening to him talk in one of the last interviews that he made to make the end of the season, he admitted, he's like, I don't want to try to change Brandon Ingram's game. I'm going to hold him to that. You don't want to change someone who has been in the league as long as Brandon Ingram has that skill set. It's kind of hard, and the old saying is you don't, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Right? I don't want to be trying to we've gotten into trouble with trying to completely shift guys' offensive game in recent years under this new coaching staff. And I think that they've learned their lesson a little bit. And I think Darko's better at recognizing his personnel, but it needs to come together. So there are some fair critiques of this team. There are fair concerns for this team, because again, a lot of these guys have not played well together. It does take time to get chemistry and all that. There is some optimism, but I don't just give optimism for the sake of it. I think that's nonsense. Okay. His catch off his balance off the catch, allows him to sometimes pounce. So, he can get it in almost like a catch and shoot type situation and not necessarily have to catch. He had the ability to rise up over the defender, but that wasn't the best shot. His ability to kind of split downhill, because he was almost in like kind of a pseudo triple threat position, if he can utilize that type of fast decision making more consistently all the time, because sometimes Brandon Ingram, if you watch Brandon Ingram, he has times where he surveys a little bit too long and misses out on pick and roll opportunities. In the short roll, he misses out on like some of the reads, and then they're gone. You can see it all the way back from the Lakers day till now, which is consistent, and this will go into my next point. But yeah, I think if he can clean that up, these are the things that if Darko can clean that up, I think that's good. This is a lot of film study. I know he's a basketball junkie, but this is a lot of self-film study and a lot of like purposeful corrections. Get used to seeing this action again and again and again and again. And I know he will put in the work, but it's still like you have to see it all play through. And it's not just him; it's also the person's making themselves available in the corner and stuff like that. So yeah. All right. He has good body control. Sorry, 1 second. He has good body control. We see that here. He's able to kind of make tough shots through the doubles. And if you have guys cutting with him along downside, so it's basically you'll see him moving and the guy keeps moving downhill, then you have the defender, the center here, in this case, having to make a very difficult decision. Do I guard up and double Ingram to stop the penetration, or do I slink down? And then the man on the wing also has a decision where he has to go and either decide to cover and leave his man, which would leave it opening for a kick out or not. We see what happened. This is a good example of advantage creation. This is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but someone said that he didn't have separation creation, and they talked about Ace Bailey and stuff like that, and it's almost identical plays. You'll see a lot of Stackhouse in his game, and there's a reason for that. But yeah, I mean, if you're this tall and your release point is that high and you can get your shot off that quick, then there is no point in even discussing about separation creation. There's no separation creation here. There's just, I'm shooting over you. There's a reason why he was always compared to, like, you know, like a baby Kevin Durant in some ways. Okay. So yeah, this is just me talking about the trade, so we can kind of ignore that. But yeah, I as I said, I think he can punch up back to it all. It like, there's a chance that the Raptors could punch up, but like, again, there's a lot that needs to come together, including his health. So in the 18 games that he played last year, so I already talked about it since his most improved, but last year specifically, he was 41, basically just under 41% in catch and shoot beyond the arc. His shots, he was shooting 1/5 of the time at 4 attempts a game in these situations. If he can increase this rate, this would be really good. His inside pull-up, when he pulls up from the mid-range, which we saw he does at a pretty solid rate, he's doing that at 46%. So these are good. If he's getting, even if he's coming off around screens where there's off-ball screens, he's running down and catching it in the mid-range. That you might actually see him make a much bigger efficiency jump. I'm not saying that I want the other stuff to go away, but you have to mix in a few new things into his game, but also other guys have to change their game too. It's not just about Ingram adapting, but other things. And he even said it upon himself, right? He said that, like, they figured out their defensive, let's say, identity, because I think even though the numbers say that they were good, they were playing tanking teams and whatnot at the end of the season. So I don't know how to read those numbers, but there was better effort from February onwards. And he saw that, he said, I gotta step up myself and match their energy. He has the length and ability to be a better defender. He's not been a good defender. He typically is a little bit of a space cadet. He can kind of guard his man on ball, but off ball, he's got some problems. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, his mentor was actually Jerry Stackhouse, because his dad played with Jerry Stackhouse, and he grew up in the gym that he would go to, or the park, or whatever he used to go to. It was all about Jerry Stackhouse. So Raptor fans probably have heard of Jerry Stackhouse a few times, right? Coach Stackhouse. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Stackhouse technically got us one of the better eras in Raptors history indirectly, because of Vince Carter and Stackhouse being traded for one another. But I digress. Unless that's I think that is it. But anyways. Yeah, he was mentored by it, and you could see it. This is one thing that's clear. Again, when a guy has to ISO, you're going to see an efficiency drop. So you can see the difference between him making 1 dribble pull-ups versus 3 to 6 dribbles. You don't want him to make 3 to 6 dribbles or have to make 7 dribbles where he's dribbling all over the court and stuff like that. You can see the efficiency drops. However, at the same time, when he's inside, especially if you're focusing on 2-point shots, like, the efficiency drop doesn't drop too much, where it's like, okay, what is this guy doing, and you're worrying. So if you can build an offense that helps him out to get less, because when you're doing dribbles, it's taking energy away from you, literally energy. If he can get his offense in a way within the flow of the offense more easily, because we're able to construct an offense that helps him, it will help the Raptors in turn, because he will be more efficient, he will be better. This is a shot chart. I love this because sometimes, like James Harden, you will see threes and layups. A lot of people love the threes and layups game. I don't. I like, especially if you have your top 2 guys, like, obviously if it's a role player, sure, but like, for a top guy who's going to be counted on to be some level of a star, whether he's a superstar or not, I have a very distinctive saying for a superstar. So, like, maybe only like 5 guys in the league at any one time could be a superstar for me. So that's that. But hey, point is that he can give you a varied attack offensively. This is really key to the Raptors' success. Okay, a few more. So this is an interesting one. What you're going to see is that he uses his balance, his footwork to kind of create the space. But the thing is again, this is one of his problem areas. I said CJ McCollum. I was wrong. It's actually Daniel Tice, as you'll see right here. But right around here, and I'll pause it. I'm just going to go back just a couple seconds. He misses the guy at the top. Now, the guy at the top does not help him out. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. This man at the top, I believe that looks like Daniel Tice. So it's not CJ, it's Daniel Tice. But the man at the top does not help him out because maybe 2 seconds later before he rose up, this guy does need to, all right, this guy right here does need to cut over a little bit here to around this point. It doesn't have to be exactly that point, but he needs to cut over to make himself a little bit more of a target. I understand that it's Daniel Tice. He's not necessarily a three-point shooter, but yeah, and that will allow easier spots for Brandon Ingram to basically get his shot. However, there's another thing is that at this point, if he holds the ball for like half a second more before going into this combination, and this guy on the far right-hand side of the court, if he looks like he actually is going to shoot, now this is partially on the Pelicans, but I'm just trying to imagine this is the Raptors and what you can do with Brandon Ingram. Well, you're going to build a better habit because instead of him shooting and rising up for the shot, you're going to give up maybe a solid Brandon Ingram shot for a better Raptor shot, which is exactly what you want to do. So for people who are saying that I don't add analysis, you just need to find me in different venues. I digress. Okay. Yeah, he can make some really tough shots, as I said right here. Also, not everything needs to be like the most substantive analysis, but yeah, he makes tough shots. He also is able to go into areas where, because he can make tough shots, he can be relied upon to also slow the game down because he's going to draw fouls. I find that the mid-range game, I'm not sure if I said it this time or not, but the mid-range game is very similar to having post moves in the mid-range. And why is that important is because if you have post moves and you have good footwork and you apply that to the mid-range, like go back and look at Kobe. Like a lot of those are just mid-range footwork that he applies, in the mid-range. And that allows for a lot more counters, a lot more step throughs, a lot more fadeaways, a lot more, fade forwards, going over a right shoulder, left shoulder. I mean, you can go on and on and on, right? You can use as fancy language or not as fancy language as you want to. Having good footwork, being good in the post, it does not hurt. I think IQ as well can benefit a ton from his gravity. I think IQ in an off-ball role, similar to what he did in New York, can be a really dangerous player and can also make him I don't know if he's necessarily a point guard right now, but it will make him a better guard. Barnes does not have Zion's first step. If you think he does, think again. However, if he can continue improving in the mid-range, his third step I love. He's able to create gravity potentially as his mid-range improves. Does need improvement, but we saw like some flashes. I've been saying for years, mid-range post fadeaway is probably going to become his bread and butter, and it is. Usually that's going to be a counter, but for him that is his main go-to move. Great. If he can, so here's a good example. If in this, say you have Brandon Ingram in this case, right here, okay, right up top with the headband, okay. So Brandon Ingram starts on one side of the court. You have Scotty Barnes here. Scotty Barnes is spacing in this case, right? And you have maybe Jacoby's right here as like the quick pitch ahead, just in case you get into too much trouble or you're doubled here. Then either this man is going to be open as he rolls down, or this man is going to be open if it really depends on where the double's coming from. Anyways, so at this point, I'm going to pause right here, and here's the key thing right here. Okay, is Brandon Ingram is very dangerous here because if you give it to Scotty, now imagine this is actually coming from CMB. CMB is not gonna, assuming CMB could hit a 3. Or at least someone who can, or IQ, or someone who can, again, hit a 3. The beautiful thing about this is that if you set a solid screen and you're doing a pitch and head, because this is essentially a variation of a pick and of a DHO, basically a dribble handoff. What it allows is that someone who does not have Zion's first step, like Barnes, you're able to get him the ball where he's going downhill with steam. He's going to have more movement and more momentum to him, and because he's like 235 or whatever and 6'8", 6'9", or whatever the heck he is, he's able to go downhill like a freight train, draw in that third defender right here, right? Or draw in the second defender in this case, because this defender went with his man. So draws in the second defender. Ingram, because of his range or because he's good in catch and shoot situations, he can catch out closer to the logo and yet step into this type of shot where it's right at the arc and boom and pop it. And this is his good type of shot because although he's a decent pull-up shooter, he's much better in catch and shoots. Got 3 guys involved with this play. There's ball movement. There is the quick decision making. This is something that the Raptors could replicate. This is something that the Raptors should try to replicate here and there. Like I said, he's really good at drawing fouls, like this one right here. And the thing is that he leans into the contact. He doesn't shade away. So if you're shading away from the contact, if his body is not, like the line of his body is leaning against the contact, it's a tougher shot because you're more off balance. But the other thing, not only is it a tougher shot, but it becomes harder for the referees to see that he initiated the contact. This is a little bit of a weak foul being called, but like the fact is that it's a bit of a reputation thing, and he has earned that reputation. As a playmaker, Ingram is also beyond capable as a playmaker. I said he did struggle in short roll opportunities, so it leaves a lot of meat on the bone. That is the good. But will the coach, Ingram, Barnes, Barrett, whoever the heck is here, will they be able to all come together and get that chemistry going fast enough? Well, let me know in the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. We about to find out. And also, you got to be healthy enough, because that goes into the chemistry, because it's hard to build chemistry as a team if everyone's injuring. Now, part of that is on the coaching staff and trying to preserve guys, and if you're tanking or whatever. But this year, they're not trying to tank. Last year, they didn't go into the season trying to tank. They just stunk, and ergo, they started to half tank. Okay. Part of playmaking is being able to draw in defenses, create advantages, and Ingram does this really well. The advantages will be there, and I just left it there. Yes, shout out to Paul Anderson. Didn't mean to show this, but yeah, he was asking me if I slept, because I was like, this is like really early in the morning, and yes, I do sleep. Yeah. Anyways, that kind of covers my Ingram stuff, my thoughts on Ingram. I think sometimes people will think that I'm very, very low on the team. I'm very middling. Again, I'm not saying that they're going to be the worst team in the NBA. I think that they're going to improve. I just don't think that they're top 6 in the East. I think that they are a roster balancing move away from that, and we will see. Okay, so that's kind of pathways for Ingram and the Raptors to be good. A few other kind of things. I think I'll get into this more in depth at another time, but yeah, to continue on the idea of Raptors finances at a light level. I made a video recently, I just posted it, and again, people are really mad at Bill Simmons for saying what he said. Now again, I don't agree with everything he said. I agree with some of the things. Are we an expensive roster? Yes. However, that doesn't mean that like you're locked up and screwed over for like years and years to come. As I said then, that I don't think that the outlook for 5 years is not as bad at all. But the next 2 years might be a little shaky if you're not going to make any moves and you're going to just keep with the status quo, right? I think that if you can clear some spots or make the right trades, then of course you could be a more well-balanced team, a potentially cheaper team, or a team that is expensive but is not a 30-win team yet expensive. As I said in the last one, it would be nice to have champagne taste and champagne budget. Right now we are a team that has beer budget and or beer taste and champagne budget. We need to up that. Or at least try champagne taste on a beer budget. But I don't see management going in and paying luxury tax, which we are currently a luxury tax team, on this current team. Now, does that now I'm going to address a specific content. Someone posted on it, and this is why I'm saying this. Someone said like, oh yeah, we're not an expensive team. It's in an 82 game season. I don't know what 82 games has to do with the expensive nature of a team. I think that's kind of a little silly. You can say yes to continue on their comment. They said, let the season play out. It says, would you rather have or have not? I'm not sure what they mean by have. Again, if you're going to leave a comment, I try to respond to each individual comment, but please outline it better so I can actually understand what you mean. But I don't know what you're talking about, have or have not. Having an expensive team, we're not an apron team, but if you say you were an apron team, you're limited to what you can do. If you have more room, you can actually take on more salaries. You can say you're having a bad year, or say you want to gamble on a bad salary working into become a good salary. Like say it's Patrick Williams. Not a big Patrick Williams fan, but he's a salary that the Bulls want to get off of. You could have taken on Patrick Williams if you had a little bit more room, taken on salary and taken on a draft pick and gotten more assets so that you can make better trades down the line, assuming that you think that Patrick Williams will suddenly turn it around. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what that, yeah. Okay. Just to continue on this thing, it's, I'm not going to say the person's name right now, but yeah, I may decide to put it on the screen. They said easier to make adjustments when you have the pieces to move rather than acquiring pieces in free agency. Okay. They also said other things. They also said I don't know analysis. So I'm going to just address this right now. It's not easier to make moves outside of the free agency period. I'm not saying sign guys in free agency, but the time period of free agency is easier to move because more teams have easier ways to cap space, and it's easier to make a negotiation of, hey, I want to make this move before I have to go to a training camp or whatever, and have guys kind of figure their way out together as a team mid-season, which is why in general you see more overall roster transactions in the NBA during the offseason, right? Like it's a variation of the transfer window or whatever. Not quite, but think of it somewhat similarly. And so yeah, I don't really, it says Bill and whoever believes him about the Raptors needs to, okay, I'm not going to say that. The point is that, again, there's some things that Bill says that has a point. He said that we're an expensive team, but he also said that we're one of the worst teams looking out into the future. I don't agree with that. I mean, even if Ingram's money is bad, I don't think Ingram's on a bad deal, by the way, but even if Ingram's deal is bad, it's only a 3-year deal. It's technically only a 2-year deal, potentially. In fact, I wish it was a 3-year deal. And even if it was $40 million each year, I don't think it's bad. I think too many people are focused on pocket watching. And when I talk about finances, I'm not saying, oh, like, this guy's not worth the money or that guy. I find that, like, I've seen certain people do this where they will give the analysis of trying to compare player to player and then looking at box scores and the financial impact that they have. I think that that's not really helpful or conducive. So in terms of basketball discourse, I think we need to do a little bit better overall. I'm not just calling this individual out specifically or anything like that. I'm just saying in general. I think you can disagree, but you have to outline why you disagree. And there's a difference between disagreeing with someone and being disagreeable. I think it's important to kind of say what is working, what isn't working. As I've always said, the biggest room that we all have is the room for improvement. So there is that. Yeah. A few other housekeeping things. Again, going to be doing these live streams here and there. Little bit excited to hopefully see CMB play. I'm hoping that they do a formal introduction to him, but I don't know if that's going to happen. They said, I will shout out Esfandiar Beharini. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but everyone knows who S is from Raptors Republic and Forbes and all. I don't know, he's almost like the Uncle Ruckus of like Raptors land, because he just works like every single damn job. Shout out to him for getting one of the first CMB interviews one-on-one. I thought it was fairly solid interview, so shout out to him. And I don't know, he's been on this channel, but I don't know if he's gonna watch this video. Probably not, but yeah, shout out to him. Other than that, yeah, everyone gonna have more non-Raptors news, non-Raptors stuff here and there as well. But until then, this video is getting long, so take care, peace, and stay well, stay hydrated, because I sure am, because it is really hot outside.